Hey y'all, it's Lucy, and I wanted to show you how to make the Poinsettia Fairy House. I think it's very cute. I made this one all out of cardstock using a circular fairy house pattern which is in the library, is free, and this is the free pattern for the poinsettia leaves and decorations. I've made a similar one in using crepe paper. Let me lean over. Using crepe paper. I just think that it's hard to cut with a Cricut. You can actually cut it easier by hand. Just use the petal shapes from the printable file, the free printable file, and then cut them by hand. I think that works well. And then this one is going to be in our Fairy House collection product. So I just really like it. I use stickles. I used a glitter glue in the center for the center of the poinsettias, and I just, again, I just really like it. So I've gone over some points on how to construct it, and I'm going to go very briefly in Cricut Design Space and just show you a little bit about setting up the file. I hope you have fun. Okay, let's go over how to use this design with Cricut Design Space. So I pulled up my Cricut Design Space on my laptop computer, and I'm going to New Project, this green button here in the upper right hand corner. And now there's my canvas. And now I'm going to upload in the lower left hand corner, upload. Then it brings up this screen. Oh, let me show you something funny. I tweaked and tweaked and tweaked this pattern. So finally I got it the way I like it, but it took me like a number of uploads to get it ready. So anyway, I'm going to upload the very newest one. Browse. I can drag it or browse. I'm going to browse. This is my file. Make a Poinsettia Fairy House. I'm going to open that. This is the SVG file that I'm looking for. Large petals. I've got a small petal one option that will go in the Fairy House collection. I'll let you know when that's available. Let's open this. And this is indeed the file I want. I'm going to continue. This is the image details screen. I'm going to upload in the lower right hand corner. Upload. It's a lot of uploading. Okay, I see all my pieces, but they're kind of jumbled. I want to see a little better view, so I'm going to reduce the size on the screen. There, at 50%, I have a better idea of what's involved. First thing we always do is go over to this layers panel and this ungroup section. Delete my 1-inch square, my square for scale, and I'm going to delete that using my little trash can. These three pieces are for the base, and it makes a really cute base. I used 2 of the leaves. They're slightly larger, and it provides more support. So I cut out 2 of these, so I duplicate that. We can go ahead and do that, duplicate. So I know I've got to do 2 of these, and then this layer goes on top, and this layer goes on top. And that makes your base, and your fairy house sits in here. Now the other pieces, I think I grouped them kind of by color. So all the red petals are here. It took 2 sheets of petals for me to completely cover the circular fairy house cone shape roof. So I suggest you cut some extra. These are the little windows. So you only need, for the circular house, you really only need 4. But I always cut out an extra piece in case it messes up. And this is what the window looks like. That's the layered window. So you can actually delete that one if you want. These are the window pieces. Again, I always cut out extra. These are the little leafy sections that go at the bottom of the roof, so to function as petals. And I didn't think we needed all the bulk of an entire petal, so I just made some like half petals in sort of random shapes. And then this is the door. For my door, I used a red piece for the leaf, but you can use green. You just kind of choose. And then I used cardstock for this. It was just simpler. You can make this design out of crepe paper, but I think it's really kind of hard to cut on your Cricut Maker. I don't believe will work on a Cricut Explorer, but you spend a lot of time making sure that your crepe paper is fully adhered to the mat. You need a sticky mat and make sure it's fully adhered because of its rough texture. So it'll tear if you don't have it really kind of brayered down completely to your mat. So I think this particular project is much easier to do just in cardstock. And I was really happy with how it looked too. So you can use, for most of these cut out very easily, but for the windows, I would use cardstock for intricate cuts. But you can just use regular cardstock setting, or you can use intricate cuts. I don't think it matters. But I just wanted to show you the pieces, and I wanted to be sure and tell you to duplicate the bottom green piece so that you have 2 layers, and then that it took 2 sheets to get all the petals. I mean, I still had some left over, but to completely cover the cone-shaped roof. Alrighty, now let's do the fun part, construction. Okay, these are all the pieces for the Poinsettia Fairy House, or Poinsettia. I've always said poinsettia. But anyway, so I'm going to show you how to construct it. And let me show you this one. This variation is in our Fairy House collection. So it's got all these little ones, which I used stickles for the center of the poinsettias. And of course it opens up. The base model I'm using for this one is one of the easy fairy houses with the circular bottom and the cone-shaped top. So anyway, I think it's very fun. So here is our circular bottom and our cone-shaped top. So I think I'm going to start off with the base so I can show you, so I can glue it to the bottom and then we'll be ready to go. So these are the pieces for the base, and I'm using 1 10-pound cardstock, stronger cardstock here because it's the base and I want it to be strong. So I'm going to glue these 2 layers together. Be sure to get the glue to the tip, since that's the most fragile part of the design. And line it up, squish the tips down. Okay, so my design is not entirely symmetrical. Let me rotate it. There. So you may have to play around with it a little bit. You know, I'm just not entirely symmetrical in any aspects. You know, I like variation and a little wonky at times. So this is the base. And then one of the red versions goes on top. And again, they don't exactly line up. I did that on purpose because I actually bought a poinsettia. Normally I don't have them because I have cats. And I had one cat who used to eat flowers. But I bought one a few years ago so I could study the leaves. And they're just not, you know, they're just not perfectly symmetrical. So I like it to be just a little bit off. And I edged each piece with a little bit of dark ink. I'll show you that in a minute, just so it'd show up, because if you put flat red on flat red, it doesn't show up. So again, with my affinity for dimension, I had to ink them. I didn't on this one, let me see. But I just like that idea. And like I said, I'll show it to you in a minute, and that's it. So that's the base, and I think it makes a really cute base. It'll look good on a table, you know, like a table setting or something. Okay, I've got one that's already dry, which I did not ink at first, and then I tried a little bit. But I'm going to use my stronger glue to glue the base to the poinsettias on the bottom, to do the base of the house onto the poinsettia base. And remember, windows go towards the bottom. because of the overhang of the roof. So anytime you use the easy house pattern, easy fairy house pattern, the windows go to the bottom. Okay, let's see. This bigger area is the front for the door. Gonna try to center it. I'm gonna set that aside and let that dry for a minute. Then these are the little windows. There are really 4 layers. The background green, a bigger red, a little red, and then the green window frame. Let me show you. They're easy to put together. Using the thin glue for this, I'm just kind of going around the rim, this circular rim, glue the red on, and it's the same design as the very base that we just made. In other words, not perfectly symmetrical. And we'll add the little leaves. And finally, we'll add the window frame. Much, much, much easier to do before you glue it to the house. I've learned that over time. And there are 4 windows on the design, so I think I made an extra one. So if the cats steal it, we have it. And this is the door. It's just 2 pieces glued together. 2 holly-shaped pieces, or I guess they could be poinsettia petals. Like I said, I wanted a little dimension on these, so I edged them. And at first, let me find, I think I have a flat one somewhere. Yeah, that one doesn't have anything on it. So at first, maybe you can see, I tried a deeper red, but I don't really like, you can see it just looked a little funny. That is a Distress Oxide Lumberjack Plaid. But I actually like this brown. This is called ground espresso. And it's kind of like a drawing stroke, like just adding a little bit of shade to the outside. So I've got my little, I forget what you call these little spreader things, shader. And just kind of outline it a little bit. And then it stands out when it's on top of another piece of red. So I just wanted to show you that trick. You don't have to do it. Like I said, I didn't do it on the little ones. And I didn't do it on the fairy house I just showed you. But I think it makes a difference. And I even did it on some of the leaves. So now I think all our pieces are prepped. Windows, petals, our piece is gluing. Our base is gluing to our fairy house. I think we can go ahead and start adding the petals. In the past, I've made one with crepe paper, which I really like. Okay, here is the crepe paper version. And I think you can see I even edged the crepe paper. And I like that a lot. Now, you can cut these out with a Cricut, with a cutting machine. You can cut crepe paper. I don't think it's worth it. I think it just makes sense to fold the crepe paper and cut it out by hand, because otherwise you're like spending 10 minutes setting up the design. You have to really adhere crepe paper well because it's got these gradations, it's variation and texture to it. You have to iron it really well, press it really well on your mat. I just don't think it's worth it. I think it just makes sense to just cut out some simple petal shapes and then you can use those. But I really like that effect. Another one. I put little coins in this one. So remember, crepe paper is an option. But for this one, I'm just using, this is 65-pound cardstock, really bendable cardstock, and I like that. And, this is a curved surface, so we can kind of curve it a little bit. I don't think you need to. It's flexible enough that it will adhere. Oh, actually, I'm going to put down green pieces first. Let me set that aside. See, this isn't the shape of poinsettia leaves. So let's replace some. Here, just put my finger in the glue. Very common phenomenon for me. So I'm just going to kind of replace the the base, kind of like I want a sharp petal design at the bottom rather than these kind of jaggedy variegated petals. This matches poinsettias better. Kind of an interesting fact. You know, I live in South Carolina. Um, the person who sort of brought poinsettias to the U.S. was Joel Poinsett, and he's from South Carolina. I think he was an ambassador in Mexico. In Mexico, there are places in Mexico where there are perennials and they grow almost like trees. It must be beautiful. Getting the last one in there. Okay, let's see if it kind of looks even. Going to leave that for a minute. I just want to mention that you can use the plain cone as your roof for this house, and that might make it easier when you're gluing on these little points. Let's play with petals, and I'm trying to alternate the petals so that, you know, they kind of stick out from the green leaves. Actually, I think the green leaves and the petals are the same. I think they're actually all leaves. And the flower part of a poinsettia is the center, the little golden area. I'm going to use the long ones first. Just kind of stagger them. And I'll use the shorter pieces towards the top. It's pretty cool already, isn't it? I have a lot of fun watching, you know, the ideas come to life, especially when they work. It already looks good, doesn't it? Now let's fill in some spaces at the top. Oh, wait, let's count them. 1, 2, where do I remember? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. I did 9 petals around the base. And now I'm going to try to fill in the spots around. Going to trim this one a little bit. As we get to the top, we may have to bend our poinsettias a little more, leaves more. We'll just play around and see. And I think that's kind of the key, is playing. I mean, really, that's why we do it, isn't it? So it's our form of play, our creative play. Now, I think mainly we need little ones. And again, it's steeper at the top, so I'm going to, wait, let me see. I may trim some of these. So it'll go like that. So I cut out 2 pages of petals, 2 pages of the red petals, and I needed most of them. I think that's it. Let's see how it looks. I think it looks good. I'm very happy with it once I get it dry and the glue doesn't show anymore. Now let's glue on the door, and because it's a curved structure, we need to curve our door. Kind of go in here. And I like to smear it around a little bit to get it to adhere. Let's put the top on so we can look and see. Oh yeah. I may need to slide something in there. I'll decide. And then the windows. I think the easiest thing is to apply glue around this circle, the circular opening for the windows. So I'll apply glue around that. And like you can do a little dimension if you want to pull up like the little leaves, petals rather. But a lot of times they get squished when I try to apply them. There, another one. So that is our Poinsettia Fairy House. I may add a few leaves, petals just to fill it in. I think the top needs like one there, and I might slide something in. I'm going to slide something in there. But anyway, that's it. It was easy to put together. Hardest thing's really cutting out all the petals. Not that it takes that long. They're not really complicated, but it takes a little time. And yeah, I hope y'all have fun making this. So now we've made, in the Fairy House series, we've made a number of projects, a lot of spring projects, daisies for summer, and now we've got a wintertime, kind of a Christmas one. And tomorrow we're going to do a fall one. Alrighty. I'll see you later. Bye.